Hey there, Central Ohio. I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Behrens. We're keeping a close eye on strong to severe storms tonight that are moving their way from Illinois and Indiana into our region. They'll be here in just a couple of hours, but we're going to be with you all night long on 10 TV Plus to keep you up to date on the storms as they get here and then eventually track them once they push into Central Ohio. So we'll make sure you're covered from beginning to end as we head through tonight, no matter the hour. We'll be here all night long to provide you this coverage on our streaming channel and, of course, on our TV channel if we do have to have some of those stronger storms push through. As for this broadcast, if you have any questions, you can always drop them in the Facebook chat or by texting them to us. That number 614-460-3345. I'll be able to see your text messages come in here in the 10 TV Weather Impact Center, and then, of course, respond to those for as many as we have time to get through in about the next 20 minutes or so as we update you on the latest. I want to go ahead and show you this video. This came out of Central Illinois. Thanks to Courtney for sending this our way. This is what appears to be a tornado touchdown. You can see that rotation there and then that dust getting kicked up down at the surface. Definitely some ominous video coming out of Central Illinois. There's been plenty of warnings out there already tonight as these storms have pushed their way across the region, and wouldn't be surprised to see more videos like that coming out in the days ahead. Of course, if you have any storm damage or weather photos, you can always send them to us. Find us on social media or text them to that number that you can also send your questions to, 614-460-3345. Here's a look at what we're watching tonight for those alerts across the region tonight through early Thursday. Strong, possibly severe storms in the forecast. That's our biggest concern and our biggest time period between now, really probably closer to about 10 o'clock tonight and about 4 or 5 a.m. tomorrow. Flooding, high winds, hail, tornadoes, all concerns that we have for as we head through this evening. Make sure you're staying connected. Have a way to get alerts, including the 10 TV app on your phone. You can get a weather alert as soon as it's issued for your area, and you'll make sure that you don't miss out on any of those pieces of important information. Also, make sure you have that 10 TV Plus app on your TV. Roku, Apple, Fire TV, you can always download that and watch for free. As far as tonight goes, we're still under that level 3 out of 5 risk for severe weather. That covers everything from about the I-70 corridor, I-71 corridor to the west. The higher risk for severe weather will be in Indiana. They're up to a level 4 out of 5 risk, but our concerns are pretty elevated tonight as well. We're up to a high category on the wind concern. Tornadoes remain in the elevated category. Hail and flooding a little bit lower as we head through tonight, but either way, things that we have to watch out for. We had some pretty good-sized hailstones over an inch in diameter earlier today. Could be a possibility again as we head through tonight, but a little bit less so because temperatures have warmed up significantly since what came through this morning. What we're looking at right now is tornado watches have been extended to the Ohio border, at least up in northern Indiana. You can see them pass through Fort Wayne right up to the Indiana-Ohio border. Would not be surprised to see those more central Indiana counties filled in here before too long. These watches, at least the first one, went until about 11 p.m. tonight. The next one that was issued a little bit later also going until 11 p.m. tonight. So we'll keep a close eye on those watches and, of course, update you here if any get expanded into central Ohio. I really wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. What we're looking at right now when it comes to storms is a long line of severe tornadic storms that go from all the way to the west of Fort Wayne out to south central Illinois, all the way down through Memphis and down into Arkansas. This is a very strong line of storms that's heading our way. We had some reports a little bit ago down here to the east, Jonesboro, Arkansas. A couple of these warnings changed to a pink color. That only happens when we have large destructive tornadoes. So we've seen some of that further to the south. I think we're not going to be in an environment similar to these guys for those really large tornadoes, but I think we do have that tornadic risk tonight. We'll go up and down this line of storms. You can see tornado warnings from the west of Memphis out toward Little Rock right now. Pretty much every one of those red polygons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 10 in this spot. And then there's another one back over my shoulder over there toward Jackson, all under tornado warnings at this hour as we move up the map up toward Poplar Bluff into southern Missouri. Another couple tornado warnings, one more as we get up toward Carbondale to the south, and one just to the northeast of Carbondale, another one north of Paducah. So you can kind of see the reason we're highlighting the risk factors here, because this has been a very severe line of storms, and it's going to continue to push into some really warm air up past Effingham. Again, continuing to see those alerts in place here tonight. Further closer to home, we haven't had any severe weather since about 1 o'clock this afternoon. That's really when the last round of storms exited the region. We did get a few cells that popped up to the east earlier this evening. Most of those, while they produced some heavy rain with a little bit of lightning, didn't really get to severe levels, which was good news there. We do have to watch another forming area right now. This is off toward Muncie, Indiana. I think most of this is going to avoid central Ohio, but we can see a little bit of formation out ahead of that main line. So we'll have to watch for some of those early cells possibly coming together. I think most of this will track well north of the 10 TV viewing area, probably up closer to Toledo. Of course, our sister station up there, they'll be doing coverage too. WTOL, if you're in that part of the state, make sure you tune in to them. We'll track these hour by hour as we head through the next several tonight. I think we're going to stay quiet at least till about, say, 10, 11 o'clock. That's when we start to see things start to pick up in our western counties. By 10 o'clock, you can see that line of storms starting to make its way across the Ohio border. It's up toward places in Hardin and Logan counties. By the time you get toward about 11 o'clock tonight, 11:30, that starts to push closer to Columbus. By the time we get toward 1, 2 a.m. this morning, continuing to push through the region as we head past 2 o'clock. This is going to be a very active time period, unfortunately, when many people have already gone to bed. So make sure you have a way to get an alert after you've gone to sleep tonight, because if we see the system continue to stay tornadic, we're going to have a dangerous line of storms push through central Ohio. This continues to push east as we head past 3 o'clock. Once we get toward 4 or 5 a.m., we're pretty much done with the severe weather. Rain showers, maybe some thunder continues into the day Thursday. But our concern Thursday is going to be more toward flooding potential, especially across southern Ohio as we pick up more bands of heavy rain heading toward Thursday evening and Thursday night. Some of those bands make their way up toward Columbus as well. We could pick up 3 to 4 inches between now and Saturday, and then Saturday night we could add another inch, 2 inches on top of that. So we could be looking at pretty heavy rainfall by the time the system's all said and done. Before we get there, though, we got to get past those storm impacts tonight, which are, again, highest for the strong winds. We are in the high category when it comes to that. Next category is going to be tornadoes. We put that up to kind of our medium category here, kind of that elevated risk. Once you get into hail and flooding, not quite our biggest concerns as we head toward tonight. It's really those strong winds and that potential for rotation that we have to keep a very close eye on as we work our way through this evening and into the early part of your Thursday, making for some active weather here across central Ohio. If you haven't had your question sent in yet, remember you can do that on our Facebook live stream, or you can text them to us at 614-460-3345. We'll do our best to answer the questions we can get to here in this broadcast, and then if not, we might be able to get to them a little bit later down the road. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with our Facebook chat. Checking in here, Megan says, probably like Saturday's weather, probably talking more like Sunday's weather, I think, with our round of severe storms. Unfortunately, kind of a similar pattern to that, where we're going to get storms that come in after dark and then possibly having those strong winds along with rotation. Again, you can see the bulk of that storm system really pushing through central Ohio here about 2 in the morning. So even a little bit later than the storms that came through on Sunday. So really not good timing for the storms that come through. Brian was saying storms never reach us here. I mean, we just had storms a couple days ago. They did reach us here. And I think, unfortunately, we'll see that again. We did have, in Ohio, I believe, 4 confirmed tornadoes the last time I checked from Sunday's storms. One of those was in the 10 TV viewing area down in Fayette County. Did have a confirmed tornado. Hopefully we don't see any more of those tonight, but I think we'll see some tornado warnings come out later today. Let's see here, going through. Troy checking in Northern Ohio, talking about right in the bullseye for it. I think Northern Ohio definitely under some threat, but the further south and west you go, let me back up a couple graphics here and put that latest outlook on the map. Further southwest is probably the worst spot. So when you get down towards Cincinnati, out towards southern Indiana, Those are kind of the higher concern areas. And then especially as you get down toward Arkansas and Kentucky, those are under a high risk day. This is the second high risk day we've seen this year. And that's quite impressive on its own. There's not many high risk days that get issued from the Storm Prediction Center. In fact, so few that there's a Wikipedia page you can go to that will list every single one. So to have 2 in a season is pretty impressive. And then again, once we get closer here to home, those impacts taper off just a little bit to the east side of our viewing area. But once you're down closer to Cincinnati, over toward the west of Dayton, you have a little bit higher risk factor out that way. Men's was asking, do I think Columbus will be upgraded to the 10% tornado risk from the SPC? I thought we were close last time I checked. We can pull that information up here for you as well. We'll break down the individual risk factors. Yes, I think we're already in that particular risk category, at least part of Columbus. And at that point, realistically, we're splitting hairs. Is there going to be a massive difference between people on this side of the line and people on this side of the line? Not really. We're kind of looking at the same storms, but when you make those outlooks, you end up having to draw the line somewhere. And right now, that line comes through pretty much the center point of Franklin County. Darlene asking, will Columbus, Ohio see anything? I think yes. I think we're in the severe zone. We definitely have a chance to see some severe weather for tonight. Betsy asking if it will weaken before it reaches Columbus. I think we'll see some weakening before it gets to Columbus, but as far as the chances for this thing to die off before it gets here, I don't think we're looking at a good chance for that, because the temperatures have just gone wild this afternoon in terms of how much warm air pushed into central Ohio. All of this is going to help to fuel storms tonight. We're passing 8 o'clock here, and we're still close to 80 degrees in Columbus. In fact, temperatures checking in at 78 at this hour, 77 out towards Springfield, 75 Washington Courthouse. There's a lot of warm air that has pushed into the region. Let me see if I can grab a bigger view of the temperatures and put some more numbers on there, kind of around the regional view here. I might not have a map that helps me do that. This one might be able to get me there. Bear with me here while I find a better graphic. That's tomorrow's temperatures, so that doesn't really help us out. As far as what we're looking at, though, I mean, it is a lot of warm air that's across the region, is essentially the reason we're seeing these storms gather so much strength, and the reason we're expecting them to continue to keep a lot of this strength is just how much warm air is in the region. There we go. This is a graphic that'll help me out. So all of that wind you see on the map there is the wind direction. Lots of southerly warm air coming into the region tonight. Where you see that cooling line is where the storms are. So the storms are basically right along this line there, and those storms are going to be pushing into this warm air mass toward Ohio. So we have a lot of warm air to help fuel these storms. You can see in Huntington, it's still in the 80s at this hour, 84 degrees in fact, 79 Fort Knox, 79 Indianapolis. So there's plenty of warm air for these storms to feed off of. And I think they're going to maintain a good deal of their strength as they push our way. Kind of a similar question got a bunch of people asking, will this town see storms? Will this town see storms? Yes, everyone in central Ohio is going to see some kind of a storm. Will it be severe in your spot? There's a decent chance for that. Is it going to significantly be different from one spot to another? Not really in any way that we're able to discern from looking at the models, but we can walk you through the timeline here again. So as we get toward tonight, about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, we could start to see those storms impacting our western counties up toward Kenton, up toward Bell Fountain. This will start to push closer to I-71 as we get to about midnight. Between midnight and 2 a.m., if you're from places like Mansfield to Delaware to Columbus to Circleville, Chillicothe, this is kind of the time frame we're watching these storms start to race into our area. Once you get past 2 o'clock, areas east of I-71, this is when this will start to impact you guys more. as those storms continue to push through into the early part of the morning. Our far eastern counties out toward I-77. This is where you guys start to get hit more as we get into the 4 a.m. hour. Once we get past 4 o'clock toward 5 o'clock in the morning, we should be done with the severe weather. So it should be just this one round and then it's gone, and we'll be back to quiet weather for the night. I want to take a look at our text line here, answer some of these questions that have come in as well. Question here says, do I see the risk decreasing since we didn't get a lot of sun? In this case, not particularly. I mean, in general, the risk is decreasing the further east that you get. So as you get past Columbus, the risk starts to drop down in eastern Ohio. But as far as changing from what we're seeing as the risk factors now, I don't see it changing too much between now and then. Question there from Hilliard. Yes, you guys need to be prepared for possible severe weather as we head through tonight. Question about how long will the tornadic part move through the area? This question came in from Marysville. As far as what we're looking at in terms of the most dangerous part of the storm, it's going to be the first leading edge of the storm. So we'll fast forward this here to about 2 o'clock. It's what you're watching right along that leading edge is the biggest area of concern. So that'll push in, and any one spot, probably about an hour's worth of severe concern for you. In terms of will the worst part of a storm be over you for an hour? Probably not. But in terms of how long you could see an alert go for, how long you'll get some heads up, you'll get the stormy part, and then you'll be under alert for a little bit after the worst part pushes by. So this will probably take about an hour or so, maybe less, to move through each individual spot. It's not going to be persistently storming all night when this one comes through. This is a good question here. It says, can I explain the myth about tornadoes not coming inside the 270 loop? There's no truth to my town can't get hit by tornadoes. I'm in a city, I can't get hit. Loop creates a vortex, can't get hit. All of that stuff is just complete mythology, essentially. What you have happen is there's so much more rural area than there is city area, even with how big Columbus has gotten. So you're dealing with a relatively small target. That's the reason that you don't see a lot of tornadoes hit Columbus, not because we can't get hit, but it's just because we're a small target compared to the amount of farmland and the amount of woodland that exists in central Ohio. Take earlier, about a year ago, late February, we had a tornado come through Hilliard. That one, I don't believe crossed 270, but it came within less than a quarter mile of getting to 270. So there's no real reason that we can't see those tornadoes hit inside 270 other than just luck and statistics. Question here about power outages. Power outages are certainly a possibility. This was referencing Northern Metro. It's definitely a possibility anywhere in central Ohio as we head through tonight. I don't think any one spot has a lower risk or a higher risk than any other spot. Question says, should we plan to sleep in the basement in central Delaware? We talked about it a little bit during our 6 o'clock show. If you're worried about not getting an alert or you're worried about having to be woken up for an alert, it's not a bad plan to just go ahead and sleep in your safe place. That's not to scare anyone or say that something bad will happen. It's just a good piece of advice, a good piece of safety advice, especially if you're worried about having to get up, or especially if you need to be in bed early and you need that sleep. It's a good idea just to, play it safe. Apartment with no basement, where can you go for protection? Apartment with no basement, if you are in one of those places, the best place to go is going to be the interior of your building. I'll pull up the information for apartment safety here. If you can get to the lowest floor, that is the best plan. If not, move as far inside as you can, as the closest inside wall, something that doesn't have exposure to windows or exterior walls. And if you got something to cover your head with, that's good advice as well. Again, if you make friends with your downstairs neighbors, something we kind of always say is a good plan. Just in that case, you can always get down to that lower floor. That is the best place to go to. When it comes to tornado safety inside a traditional home, That's where we're looking at, again, getting away from those outside walls, getting as far inside as you can, and avoiding windows and areas where debris might be able to get in. Interior closets, interior hallways, bathrooms, stairwells, best places to go. Of course, if you have a basement, even a better place to go. I'm going to leave you guys here with the radar view of those storms out toward the west. This will be it for this update for now. Plenty of questions still in the queue, especially in our text line. We'll try to get to some of those coming up here in just a little bit. We'll have a brief update coming up here in about another 10 minutes. And then at 9 o'clock, we'll have a longer update, kind of like this, where we go through and answer some of your questions. And then Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz will be joining us here. He'll be checking in with that quick update at 9:30. So stick with us here on 10 TV Plus. We will be here all night long. We're planning to burn the midnight oil, and we're not going home until the storms are gone. You can also watch us on the Facebook page and on our YouTube page for all of the latest updates throughout the night. Make sure you download that 10 TV Plus app to your TV so you can watch for free. Roku, Fire, Apple TV, where you can find that. We'll be back here in about 10 minutes. Hey there, Central Ohio. I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Behrens, back with a quick update for you guys here on 10 TV Plus. We're going to keep an eye on possible strong to severe storms heading our way as we work our way into the evening. That's why a 10 TV Weather Impact Alert Day is in place from now through early tomorrow morning for those strong to severe storms pushing our way. Our big concerns: possible flooding, high wind, hail, and tornadoes. All things in the cards as we head into this evening. Make sure you're staying connected and have a way to get those weather alerts. 10 TV app, a great way to do that ahead of time. And of course, those live streams here. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, make sure you download 10 TV Plus to your TV. It's available on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Here's what we're looking at in terms of the outlook. A level 3 out of 5 risk from just to the east of Columbus all the way back to the Ohio border. That risk does drop off to a level 2 as you get to our eastern counties, but again, our risk factors remain the same as we head through tonight. That is for strong damaging winds, possible tornadoes, hail, and flooding also out there as threats with these storms. Unfortunately, these storms have been producing quite a bit of tornadic activity back out toward our west, and we're watching those storms continue to stay severe as they push their way into Indiana at this hour. So all eyes will be on these storms as they get closer to us. Right now, tornado watches go up to the Indiana-Ohio border. I would expect to see these counties here kind of filled in sometime in the next hour or so. The current watch is going in place until 11 o'clock tonight. We expect those storms to start to cross into Ohio sometime between 10 o'clock and midnight, and it's quite a long line of storms out there. Tornado warnings in place all the way from Indiana down into southern portions of Arkansas, and we can track these storms, or at least follow along the lines. You can see here somewhere between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tornado warnings, a whole mess of severe thunderstorm warnings, and a lot of hail potential. That's all the area that you see in those whiter colors toward the center of possible hail. That continues up into southeastern Missouri, western Kentucky. Another tornado warning working its way over toward Paducah, one to the north of Paducah, up toward Carbondale, and then this pattern continues as you head up toward Evansville as well. Possible hail-producing tornadic storms working their way closer to us tonight. The good news for now, we haven't seen any severe weather since about noon, 1 o'clock here today in Ohio. Those early storms were hail producers. The ones coming next, unfortunately, more toward that wind and possible tornado side of things. That's what we're really giving you a lot of updates here tonight. The hour by hour will continue to keep the storms on a similar timeline, getting to our western counties between 10 o'clock and midnight. That'll push closer to us here in the city as we get toward, say, midnight to 2 a.m. Once we get past that, we see storms push out toward our east, and they'll be out of the region as we head toward 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. Remember, we're keeping you up to date because that threat for strong damaging winds is so high tonight. That risk for tornadoes also elevated as we head through this evening. We'll be doing many of these updates here on 10 TV Plus. We'll have Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz joining us back here around 9:30. He'll be here till early tomorrow morning tracking the storms here, and then we'll have you covered with complete team coverage all night long on 10 TV Plus. So make sure, again, you download that app. If you don't have it already, you can find it on Roku, Fire TV, and Amazon or Apple TV. Download and watch for free there. We'll keep you up to date on our Facebook streams throughout the night, on our YouTube stream throughout the night, and of course in the 10 TV app. If we do need to cut into TV, we will also do that if necessary. Until then, we'll be back at 9 o'clock tonight for a more in-depth update. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat. We will try to get to them during that 9 o'clock session. there, Central Ohio. I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Behrens here with your latest weather update. We're keeping you informed on everything around the storms that are heading our way tonight, and of course making sure you're ready once they get here. We're still probably about 2 hours away or so from some of those stronger storms starting to get into the 10 TV viewing area, but we want to make sure that excuse me, that you're ready for the storms that are going to head our way tonight, and of course answer any questions that you might have as well. We can do that here in this stream. So if you're watching on Facebook, you can leave your comments there. If you're watching on YouTube or on 10 TV Plus, you can send us your comments via text. That number 614-460-3345. Again, 614-460-3345. And we'll answer as many questions as we can here in about the next 20 minutes or so that we're providing this update. But of course, we'll have more throughout the rest of the evening. First off, I want to show you a video of a possible tornado that was in central Illinois. This is part of a big system of storms that's heading our way. Numerous tornado warnings and tornado reports have already come out of that system, and that's part of the reason we're treating it with such levels of coverage here tonight, is to keep you informed about everything that could potentially head our way, and that includes that risk for tornadoes as we head through tonight. Of course, if you have any storm damage, storm photos, anything you ever want to share and send our way, you can find us on social media or you can text us. Again, that phone number 614-460-3345. 10 TV weather impact alert in place as we head through this evening. It will continue until early tomorrow for strong storms, possible severe storms that will push in overnight. Unfortunately, most of this is going to come after dark, which only enhances the danger around the severe threats that we're watching. That includes the flooding, rain, high wind, hail, and possible tornadoes as we head through tonight and into early tomorrow. Make sure you're staying connected and you have a plan to get alerts tonight before you go to bed. One of the best ways to get weather alerts is going to be the 10 TV app or the Weather Network app that's powered by 10 TV. You can get those alerts sent right to your pocket as soon as they come out. And of course, you can watch live updates in the app as well as on your TV. Download the 10 TV Plus app if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube. You can get that on Amazon Fire, Roku, or Apple TV and watch for free. Here's a look at the latest update out there. We continue to keep that level 3 out of 5 risk factor for severe weather for the majority of the 10 TV viewing area. Everyone really from the 71 corridor over toward the west under that level 3 out of 5. This drops to a 2 out of 5 for our eastern counties. Some of the storms may weaken some by the time they get there, but overall it doesn't really change the threats that we're preparing for tonight, which include the possibility for wind and tornadoes as these storms come through this evening. I think that tornado risk tonight going to be a little bit higher than what we saw on Sunday, and keep in mind we did have 4 tornadoes in Ohio come through on Sunday, including one in Fayette County, so you definitely need to be ready for the possibility of tornadoes as we head through this evening, and certainly that risk for damaging wind as we head through this evening. That remains in the high category. Hail and flooding are possibilities, but those are a little bit lower risk factor as we head through tonight. No change so far to the tornado watches. They butt up against the Ohio border further to the north. Still nothing filling in down toward central Indiana over toward the Ohio border as you get closer to Cincinnati. Wouldn't be surprised to see that again change here sometime in the next hour or two as we get closer to those storms. Keep in mind, central Indiana storms are starting to come across the border from Illinois. So they're not quite into the heart of Indiana yet, but they are still maintaining a lot of those severe characteristics at this hour. Severe storms stretch all the way up into southern Michigan and all the way down into Arkansas. A very potent line of storms pushing its way through here tonight. You can still see multiple tornado warnings down there in southern portions of Arkansas, now entering western portions of Tennessee. This is just north of Memphis, seeing those tornado warnings come through. I count probably about 3, maybe 4 here in this picture right now. As we travel further north, southern portions of Missouri, northern western Tennessee, also still seeing tornado warnings in place. The same as you get closer toward Paducah, having that tornado warning in place in western portions of Kentucky. This continues into southern Illinois, east of Carbondale, over toward Evansville, having tornado warnings in place. I can see at least 3 there along this line. So again, very potent line of storms. As we get into southern Indiana, this is over toward Bloomington, also dealing with at least 1 tornado warning with lots of severe thunderstorm warnings in place as we see that line of severe storms working its way closer to Indianapolis at this hour. That still gives it some room before it gets here in central Ohio. So we're not quite into the severe storms just just yet. We're still in that quiet period. I do want to take a little bit closer look at some of what we're seeing on the radar in Indiana. We'll move over there and we'll take the more local version of the radar here as well. At this hour, we'll stop the looping action there. We'll move across the border. What we have right now, we'll break down some of those alerts. You see that yellow outline around all of those severe thunderstorm warnings. This is similar to what we saw over the weekend, which is where we have winds possibly 70 miles per hour or higher associated with the severe thunderstorm warning. So wind, like we said this weekend, going to be our main threat, but embedded in that wind threat is that risk for tornadoes. Again, that tornado warning down towards south west of Bloomington, working its way along I-69. That is one of the types of storms that we could see head our way here as we work our way through tonight. Let me get rid of the lightning just so you can see how kind of nasty these storms are on radar. Lots of those darker reds, brighter pinks that are working their way through portions of central Indiana. Very strong storm system at this hour. And again, more tornado warnings as you head down towards southwestern portions of the state. All of this stuff is going to head our way as we head through tonight. Do we guarantee that it's going to be as bad as it is across the border? Can't promise that, but all the signs are there that we could see some pretty strong storms work their way into central Ohio tonight. And part of the reason we're seeing that is just how warm the air has gotten across the region. These are the temperatures at this hour, still in the 80s, down toward Chillicothe and Piketon, Jackson, Logan, all sitting in the 80s. We're still close to that here in Columbus at 77. We've seen a lot of strong wind work their way into the region here out of the south. Those winds blowing about 16 miles per hour in Columbus. I'll change this to the wind gusts just so we can see how strong some of those gusts have been up into the 20s and 30s across the region right now. So again, lots of warm flow coming into the region. All of this is stuff that can help those storms gather some energy as we head into tonight. Tracking that hour by hour looks a bit like this. We stay quiet close to about 11 o'clock midnight tonight. That's when we watch that line start to push into our western counties. We're going to call this anywhere from about 10 to midnight for those far western counties up toward Hardin County, Logan County, down through Urbana and Springfield. As we get closer to midnight to 2 a.m., that's when we see the heart of the storm push through central Ohio. That's when we're expecting the strongest storms from places like Marion to Delaware, over to Columbus, Circleville, down to Chillicothe. If you're to the east of I-71, your time window is more close to 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Unfortunately, again, this is coming when many people are asleep, which is why we stress that need to have a way to get severe weather alerts before you go to bed tonight. Those storms continue to push off to the east as we head into the early a.m. hours of Thursday. Once we get past about 4 or 5 in the morning, we're really past the heart of this severe weather, and we are back into more quiet weather as we get our way into early Thursday. We do keep rain chances, possibly some storms throughout the day on Thursday, but I think our concern turns more toward heavy rain out there, especially south of I-70. We're looking at a really heavy rain event, possibly between now and Sunday as high as 6 inches in some spots. So we're definitely looking at a heavy rainmaker through the end of the week. Before we get to that rain, though, tonight, here's our big weather impacts. Flooding, large hail, they are possible, but they are not the biggest factor that we're watching. The biggest thing we're watching is that risk for strong winds and the possibility for tornadoes as those storms push closer to central Ohio. Those are definitely looking like our highest risk as we head through this evening. And again, part of the reason that we're giving so much coverage to this is the fact that we see these storms out west. They are producing severe weather. We're in a very warm environment, and we could see those storms here tonight. We want to give you as much heads up ahead of time because of the time that these storms are coming in. They're coming in at night. We don't want to have anyone caught off guard, already gone to bed, without a way to get weather alerts as we head into this evening. So with that out of the way, I do want to go ahead and take some of your guys' questions. We'll start on the Facebook feed, and then we also have questions in the text line. That is 614-460-3345. If you want to text us your questions, you can send them through us on there. Checking in here, got a lot of people watching. Ashley from Columbus, got Morgan checking in from Perry County, Amanda in Chillicothe. Let's see here. Amanda asking what time. Again, if you're down in Chillicothe, you're kind of more in that midnight to 2 a.m. kind of time frame. So pretty late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Let's see here. Nate asking about the airport area. Are they out from under the gun? No, they will also be under the risk for severe weather tonight. I'll pop up the severe weather risk map for you guys here. That again covers pretty much all of central Ohio. So no one spot really not under the gun tonight. That risk does drop the further east that you travel. So these storms are expected to weaken some over time. But keep in mind that we're still under those higher risk factors tonight as we head into early tomorrow. So not much difference from any one spot in the viewing area to another. Got a couple questions here about timing. We'll walk through the timing real quick for you guys here as well. Do it a little bit slower. Those western counties, again, we're kind of thinking you guys are going to fall in that 10 o'clock to midnight category. So I'll put a couple lines here on the map. I would say really if you are west of this line, you're in more of that 10 o'clock to midnight kind of time frame. We'll do my best to draw that out here. If you move a little bit further to the east, here's 2 o'clock. We're kind of in that similar time frame. So we'll put that first line back on the map, put another line here on the map. If you're between those two lines, I would say you're in the midnight to 2 a.m. time frame. We'll push this a little bit further into the future. If you are to the east of this line, all the way over toward our eastern border, you're in the 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. time slot with pretty much everything out of here once we past 4 o'clock in the morning. So that's kind of our time frame across the region. Elsa asking in the chat, what size of tornadoes can we expect? The problem with tornado forecasting is you really can't decide much ahead of time what kind of size tornadoes we're expecting. I would say, generally speaking, probably more toward the lower side of the size, because we're not talking single cell storms that would produce like the really, really massive tornadoes that you see out in the plains. I don't think that is really going to be in the cards as we head through tonight, but I think we could see some more of the lower end, possibly more of the middle strength tornadoes with some storms. I think that would be a possibility. So somewhere in that EF0 to EF2, maybe you'd get toward a 3 at extreme rarity. But again, it's not really something you can predict ahead of time. Just kind of looking at what we've seen so far today, I think most of them would be toward the smaller side of the storm. You saw Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz there handing me some paper. We have some new information to pass along to you. It looks like they have issued some more watches around the region. So let me go ahead and we'll jump back to that watch graphic. Looks like that needs to wait for that update to come in on the graphic side, but I can tell you multiple Ohio counties are now under a tornado watch. This will go, I'm not seeing the out time on there. Delaware County under tornado watch. We got Fairfield County under tornado watch. Franklin, Hamilton, Fayette got under a tornado watch here. Marion County under tornado watch, Licking County under tornado watch, Logan, Madison, Murrow, Pickaway. Yes, so it looks like to be most of the counties here under a watch. There we go. New information in right there. So we were expecting that tornado watch to be expanded, kind of expanded in a weird way. They got that gap there in Indiana. I'm not sure how to explain that at the moment. They probably will be filling that in shortly. But here is the latest tornado watch information. This goes until 4 a.m. So that fits fairly well with the time frame we were telling you guys that the storms will be out of here by about 4 in the morning. At the latest, most of central Ohio included in this tornado watch. Would I be surprised if more counties get added to a watch later tonight? Absolutely not. That is certainly going to be a possibility as we head through this evening. So again, new information. You guys are getting it here first as it comes in on 10 TV Plus, with that tornado watch being expanded across portions of central Ohio. Keep in mind that goes till 4 a.m. So again, stay weather aware as we head into tonight. It's not going to be a night to go to bed without a way to get weather alerts, as we have those higher risk factors again for severe weather as we head through tonight. I want to check our text line here. We're getting close to the end of this update, but I want to go ahead and see what we have in the text line. Question here, Hocking County. Yes, you guys are in the risk factor for storms tonight. Grove City, is there a risk for a tornado tonight? Yes, there is a risk for tornadoes tonight. It's not a promise of tornadoes, but it is a risk for tornadoes. Talk about living in an apartment there. And again, we show you this graphic here a couple times tonight, and it's never too much to bring up those safety tips out there. If you are in an apartment, the best thing to do is get to the first floor of the apartment. When I say make good friends of your first floor neighbors. If you can't do that, move into the most interior of the apartment building. And of course, if you have some way to protect yourself from potential debris, that is also a good thing to know. Question here, Mansfield, are you guys under a risk for tornadoes? Yes, all of central Ohio does have the risk for tornadoes tonight. So again, no one area seeing a different risk factor than another. Just in general, the further west and especially southwest that you go, the higher the severe risk will be. If you're in a house during a tornado, here's some good advice for you as well. Get away from the exterior windows and walls. You want to get to those interior rooms, hallways, stairwells, bathrooms, interior closets, and of course basement, the best place to go if you have a basement available to you. So keep that in mind. I'll show the severe risk map here again for you guys, just because I see a lot of questions in the text line that are kind of in the same vein about what areas have the risk, what areas don't. Keep in mind that all areas have some risk factor for severe weather as we head through tonight. Wow, that's an old one. Popped into a Doppler 10 graphic, Jerry. All areas have that risk factor for tornadoes tonight. All areas have that risk factor for wind tonight. The risks themselves are higher the closer to the southwest you go, over toward Dayton, down to Cincinnati. They will gradually drop off the further east that you go, but that doesn't mean that any one spot doesn't have at least some risk tonight. It's just that the risks are higher the further south and west that you go. Here's that new information, even additional counties added to our tornado watch. If you are in our northern counties, places up toward Crawford County that weren't under the first alert, you guys have been added to the alert coming out of the Cleveland office there. Over toward Knox County, added to that alert. Morrow County, Marion County, up toward Richland, added to that alert. So we've got new counties under tornado watch as well. Let's see how long theirs goes. Probably similar to the one down in Columbus. 4 a.m. for those counties, stretching all the way up toward Cleveland. So again, additional counties added to that tornado watch as we head through tonight. I'm going to try to get to a couple more text questions here before wrapping up this stream. Question here, how fast are the storms moving? They're not moving particularly speedily across the region. The storms over in Indianapolis only moving about 30 miles per hour. So again, not the fastest moving line of storms we've seen across central Ohio. And it's still several hours before they get here. So again, probably about 2 hours away from some of our western counties before we start to see those storms move in. Do I think tornadoes will be a big factor in Columbus? I think there's a possibility for tornadoes in Columbus. I think wind overall is going to be the biggest factor. Wind is the factor that most people are going to see. And then inside that wind, there is the risk for tornadoes. Where they happen, unfortunately, we can't really tell until this storms start to get closer to us here in the region. Similar question from Newark, similar answer to that. Same question from Licking County. Buckeye Lake area, yes, again, under that risk as well, but they start to get weaker the further east that we go. Seeing a bunch of the similar questions there. So again, any one spot doesn't really have a different risk from another. So we all kind of under that same risk here tonight. We're going to go ahead and recap some of that as we work our way toward the end of this stream, get you up to date and get you ready for more updates coming here in just a little bit. So let me start from the top. 10 TV weather impact alert day will be in place as we head through tonight and into tomorrow. We've seen those storms out west produce at least possible tornadoes so far today. This was a video earlier today from central Illinois. That's part of the reason we have those 10 TV weather impact alerts in place again as we head through tonight. Strong storms possible overnight into early Thursday. All types of severe weather are possible: flooding, wind, hail, possible tornadoes. So we keep urging you to make sure you're connected. Have the 10 TV app. That way you get weather alerts right to your pocket, and have the 10 TV Plus app on your TV so you can watch these updates as we issue them throughout the night. Of course, we'll be on Facebook, on YouTube, streaming in the app, and on 10 TV Plus. You can download it on your TV and watch for free. The outlook out there remains the same. We see the higher risk factors the further west that you go. Columbus under a level 3 out of 5. The further east that you go, level 2 out of 5. Wind remains our highest risk factor, but we do have that risk for tornadoes as we head through tonight as well. I'll time this out hour by hour. Those western counties, 10 o'clock to midnight, start to have storms pushing through. Columbus, I-71 corridor, about midnight to 2 a.m. Areas further to the east, 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., which is about the time that watch expires here tonight. Well, these are the risk factors tonight, wind being the highest, tornadoes up there as well. So make sure you're staying weather aware. Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz will be back in about 10 minutes with a quick update on the storms where they are now, and then also later tonight at 10 o'clock.
And a good Wednesday night, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz, taking the baton over from Michael Behrens, who's been working this for a considerable length of time during the day today. And we're going to be on wall-to-wall coverage, at least on 10 TV Plus, as we get into the night and tomorrow morning. At times, just so you know, we're going to put it out there. We might drop off because we actually have some legitimate forecasting during this complex weather situation. But we are going to be here monitoring your questions on Facebook and on our phone line. We'll get that information to you in a moment. But we want to just reiterate the fact that we're looking at that severe weather threat going through about 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we're looking at the potential, as we just learned a few moments ago, of a tornado watch that is now in effect for much of the metro area. That goes until 4 a.m., so please keep that in mind. So we're going to take just a step back for a second and reassess the situation, level set if you're just joining us, and then let everyone know what our plan is for the evening. And we also want to let you know, and we're going to hear this multiple times from Michael and I, we'll also be joined by Erica Kalura coming up after midnight tonight, that your safety is at utmost concern. It might be a bit inconvenience. We hope it's not, but it's certainly not inconvenience to us. This is our job and we take it very seriously. But we want to, our paramount concern is to keep you and your family safe. So especially since that tornado watch has been issued, that's something, again, that we're looking at and taking very seriously, that we want to keep you and your family safe. So let's take a look back at the radar scan for us. Let's expand this just a second, and then I'm just dropping into coverage here, so bear with me for just a moment. And we're going to get a wide view first on the radar scan, talk about the watches that are in place, and then we'll look at the actual radar as it pans out. So we can go back to that, put me back on camera for a moment along with the graphics. That would be helpful. Here's the scope of that tornado watch right now going till 4 o'clock in the morning. And I know there's going to be some questions. I'm not trying to head those questions off, but in a moment you'll understand what we're talking about. This is a watch. This is your opportunity to get ready for the potential for severe storms. We don't know the answers to the questions like, is there going to be a tornado in Westerville or in Dublin or in Plain City or in Pataskala? Those questions we are literally going to be nowcasting. That means watching that line coming in tonight after midnight, all through the night into the wee hours of the morning, and only then will some of those severe threats to that level to towns and streets be revealed to us. And of course, we're going to share those with you in real time. So not trying to be dismissive of your questions. We're just trying to be transparent about what we know right now. And what we know at 9:32 on Wednesday night is you've got time. You've got time to watch the latest information that we're sharing with you right now. You've got time to quickly put together a plan if you don't have one. And one of the things we're going to share with you for the next couple of minutes, and you're going to hear it again and again, especially for those people that might just be dropping on 10 TV Plus or watching us on their smart TV or through their phone, is some of those safety tips depending on where you live, because it is not the same everywhere. And in a moment or two, I'll make that clear. But again, if you're just joining us coming up a little after 9:30, we're looking at this tornado watch that has just been issued about 20 minutes ago. That includes the metro area. And when I say that, I mean in and around Columbus. Points north and west, that is entire viewing area up to Wyandotte and Crawford County, west toward Hardin County, Logan County, including Marysville, Columbus, Delaware, Lancaster, Newark, down toward Pickaway County, Circleville to the west near London, and then down again toward Fayette County that had that tornado on Sunday night. Not to be dismissive of the counties and our friends and neighbors east of that those yellow lines. That includes folks down around Hocking County, down near Perry County, Muskingum County, those locations in Coshocton County, Athens, at this moment are not under a tornado watch, but I would not be surprised perhaps to see a watch extended or a different watch issued, but this will not be until well after midnight tonight. So this is what we call a long fuse event. And it's going to last for hours. And as I said a moment ago, we are going to be here monitoring the situation and doing everything we can to bring you the latest information that can keep you and your family safe. So that's the big picture. That's where we're at right now, coming up on 9:35 in the morning. Big picture in terms of the radar scan for us that shows the area that we're watching right now, that line, significant line of thunderstorms, and just a ton, dozens of severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings along that line. You do see that it's holding together, and we expected that to be the case. Oftentimes, sometimes I should say, specifically in the summer, those thunderstorms will wane and weaken without the heat of the day. But in this instance, this is a powerful storm system, and it is not going to put its foot off the gas, let its foot off the gas anytime soon. So that's, again, what we're looking at in terms of the big picture radar scan. Zoom in just a little closer to home right now. We had some earlier boomers, which was really unusual because temperatures were in the 40s and 50s, and we had hail the size of $0.50 earlier today in lunch. we are going to pivot our concern from prolific hail producers and rain producers to the opportunity, as you saw a couple moments ago, to mainly wind and the threat for some tornadoes. So let's take a look at that breakdown for you with respect to what we can expect and where we think the highest risk is and will be during the event. And we want to put a timestamp on this. When we say today, we're really talking about conditions through tonight and into tomorrow morning. If we can come back on camera for a moment, that would be great. The area, again, that includes Columbus, and this has been very consistent from the Storm Prediction Center and SPC. If we can come back to that double box. That does show that area shaded in the orange. Those are the locations that include Columbus, and it's actually pretty closely tied or linked to that tornado watch that was just issued. Now, we've been talking about this weather impact alert period now for many days, giving you a heads up, and we have made some slight adjustments in the forecast, as is to be expected. So we appreciate your patience with us. If we were batting 1,000, 5 days out, we'd be in the Hall of Fame. So it's something we tune and we find the details as we get closer to the event. One of the things we have changed, not really as much as the tornado and the wind. The wind has been consistently the greatest concern for us, and that should be the greatest concern for you, because one of the things to be concerned about is the storms move in and produce wind damage. Oftentimes, a tornado can be a little bit smaller scale. Maybe think of a football field, 100 or 200 yards wide. Wind damage can be on the scale of half a mile or larger. So we just want to put that into perspective, not to be reduce that tornado threat, because that obviously is elevated, especially since that watch came out. But wind damage is the greatest concern for us, and that goes for everybody. Hail, still an opportunity for that, and flooding. The short-term concern is only in the medium category, but as you'll find out in a few minutes, that longer-term concern, that goes through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday morning for the majority, if not the entire 10 TV viewing area, because of the multiple rounds of rain we're going to get as we get into the second half of this week and then into the weekend. Another opportunity, unfortunately, for Mother Nature not to let her foot off the gas. And this time, while we might not see the widespread strong to severe storms that we're tracking right now, we're more than likely going to be dealing with a lot in the way of rainfall. So let's walk through some of the newest model data. And this is, we're seeing this in real time with you. So we're going to walk through it slowly, starting at 9:30 tonight. Timing of this brings it in to the northwestern counties after midnight and then 1 o'clock in the morning. And this is the northwestern extent of those counties again by 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, a little hiccup there for me. Give me a second for the model to catch up. You can see how fast it accelerates from Kenton, Bellefontaine, Urbana, Champaign and Clark County, and then moves to the east. So this will answer some of your questions, I'm assuming. This is 2 o'clock in the morning. Bucyrus, Marion, Delaware, Marysville, London, leading edge. Mount Gilead, Columbus, Circleville, Washington Courthouse, you're about to encounter this particular line of thunderstorms. 2 o'clock in the morning. 2:30 in the morning, that line cuts through Franklin County, Delaware County, through Morrow County, down to the south, just about to hit Circleville, through much of Fayette County, but Mount Vernon, Newark, Lancaster, and Chillicothe, you're next to be impacted by this storm. And at this is where our high-resolution model data cuts off. So we're going to pivot for a moment, but that is what we're looking at. The latest model information keeps this strong line of storms together and brings it through at the worst possible, the most concerning time after midnight through about 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. So that window still has been very consistent with our forecast in about 11 o'clock a.m. till about 5 a.m. And I want to, as you just saw and I illustrated there, the 11 o'clock timeline pretty much goes from Kenton and Bellefontaine till about 2:30 in the morning for that line, that leading edge. Once we get beyond that, then we're going to be looking at the southern and eastern parts of the viewing area, including Mount Vernon, Newark, Lancaster, Chillicothe, Piketon, Coshocton, Zanesville, New Lexington, Logan, down toward Athens and McConnellsville, and Cambridge. That's when that line will continue to move to the east. Now, early indications are, just again being transparent, what we're seeing and sharing with you, is that that line will encounter a little less favorable environment, meaning that some of the parameters that we're looking at in terms of the energy and the instability and the shear, that kind of the twist in the atmosphere, are not quite as strong, but they don't drop to zero. So it's just a small change, hopefully for the better, but regardless, again, we're going to be here all night tracking the system on 10 TV Plus, and of course, if there are tornado warnings anywhere in the 10 TV viewing area, we're going to go on and stay on until that threat is over. I just want to remind everybody of that, because sometimes we get little nasty grams, or we'll get input from the viewers that are not happy with our decision and our commitment, I should say, to keep everybody safe. If it's a tornado in Hocking County, it's treated the same as a tornado in Franklin County, the same as in Logan County, Hardin County. You get the idea. So just kind of putting that out there, maybe deflecting some of those comments. So just think about that. If that was your family, your loved one, your friends, and that's where you lived, hopefully you'd want the same level of attention and detail, and to put your trust in us, as we are hoping you will as we go through the next several hours tonight. So getting to some of the questions, the likelihood of a tornado warning in Lancaster, Ohio tonight. If I'm not a betting man, I'd say 50-50 at this point. We're still many hours away, and it's really something we cannot put a pin on right now. Situation doesn't make any sense to my situations. Away from windows. Okay, so this is a good opportunity to take a step back for a second, talk about some of the safety parameters depending on where you're at, where you live. So give me a moment here to work on and get some of these particular items in here to help illustrate what we're looking at. If you are in an apartment building, one of the things to keep in mind, and this goes for a higher-rise condo, apartment building, anything that might have more than 2 or 3 floors, and this is one of the things that we will be sharing with you over the course of the night, is that the one advice that is the same for no matter where you're at is to put as much distance and as many walls between you and the exterior as possible. And that simply means that if you are in an apartment, that you want to try and make friends. I heard Michael say this earlier. It was very memorable. You want to make friends with the folks on the lowest floor. If you have a parking garage in the basement of your apartment building, that's where you want to be. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So that's something to please keep in mind as we're going through this evening and into tonight. If you live in a mobile home, hopefully you've got somewhere else you can go. A mobile home, kind of the same guidelines as a vehicle. You do not want to be stuck out in either one of those as a tornado is bearing down. You're very vulnerable in those situations. Hopefully you've got a location that is near where you live, and with a few moments notice you can get there with your pets, your important people, probably your important people first, then your pets, any of your important papers, and your pharmaceuticals. So those 4 Ps are very important because you might not know what you're coming back to from a tornado. So that's something to keep in mind. So you've got several hours, got a few hours. This is not going to kick off until after midnight tonight. For many of us, it'll be 1, 2, 3, or 4 o'clock in the morning. You see this line timing out right now at 2:30 a.m. So those are the things we want to keep in mind. So I'll answer a couple other questions for you. So hopefully, I did not get a name on this one, but Columbus resident here, top floor apartment, where would be the best place to go? As I just said, tornado warning. And the other thing, since you mentioned tornado warning in your message, you need to have more than one way to get those warnings. Your cell phone's great as long as it's charged. Your cell phone is great as long as these cell towers are up. Your TV is a great way to get information unless you need to leave your TV screen to take shelter. A weather radio, we'll show you some examples coming up in our next hour. We've got a couple old ones and new ones in the back we'll bring out and show you. Weather radio is number one way. Now, many of you, 9:43 at night, Amazon's not going to get it to you. You're not going to be able to run out to a big box store and get one. So we still encourage you to have more than one way, a weather app and TV, a website, some way that multiple ways that you can get that information. The other thing to keep in mind on your phone too, and it's pretty important, assuming that you've got it charged and you've got those portable chargers charged, that you can make sure the settings on your phone and include or enable that it's being followed, so your phone location follows you, and you have those weather emergency alerts turned on. So please take a moment to do that this evening, and also tell your friends and your family members and your neighbors, hey, make sure your phone is set up to receive those weather alerts, because I said you can have it turned on, but if you don't have a couple of those things checked, then you're not going to get the weather information. So just keep that in mind, and we'll continue to mention some of these things. Now, that's the advice we would give to somebody that lives in an apartment building, whether it's 2 stories or 10 stories, interior room, away from windows, as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and the lowest floor possible. Unfortunately, taking the elevator might not be the best choice, but if you're on the top floor, you've got a decision to make, and hopefully you can do that quickly based on what we just said. Many walls between you and the outside as possible. Stay away from windows. Interior locations are best, even if it's an interior bathroom or an interior stairwell. those are safer than an exterior wall or near windows. If you're in a home and you have an interior room or a closet, a bathroom, for example, a reasonably safe place. If you have a basement, if below ground, the number one place to be in a tornado warning, below ground, because it's a little known fact, but most people are not swept up, or as you might see or think about in the movies, by a tornado. I'm not trying to be flippant about it, but most people are injured or worse from debris and tornadoes. Just imagine a garage door remote or a cell phone or anything, a nickel coming at you at 150 miles an hour. That's where the risk is. So if you minimize that risk to that flying debris, then you're putting yourself in a better position to survive the storms. So answer a few more questions here. Zach from Asheville, a trailer safe to be in tonight? I would say no, Zach. And I know that some people don't have options, and we feel for you. We really do. But with this storm coming in, you've got plenty of advance notice, perhaps a friend, neighbor, relative, maybe an opportunity for a sleepover. And yeah, you might not get the best night's sleep, but if you're safe, that's the number one priority. So we really want you to think about that now. If you're in a trailer and there's a tornado warning, you probably have a few minutes. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? If you don't have any recourse, you want to go in an interior room, but you really are putting yourself at risk staying in that trailer. Similar with a car, it just becomes a projectile. You want to get out, you want to take shelter. So again, we're talking about some situations which might not have a great choice. But as we talked about earlier, and we'll say it again, you're probably tired of me saying it, but I know I am, but we're going to tell you continually through the night and into tomorrow morning. You just want to put as much distance and as many walls or structures between you and the outside as possible. And a mobile home and a car or a trailer are not good options. You have hours to get ready for this and think of what your options are going to be. So again, we empathize with you. We understand the situation that many folks are in around Central Ohio. You might not be in a sturdy brick structure that has a basement, but your best opportunity is to have a plan. And that plan is different for everybody depending on where you're at. If you're in a dorm, you're in an apartment, you're in a house, you're in a condo, if you're in a mobile home, that plan is different for everybody. So we'll continue to talk about that as we go through tonight and into tomorrow morning. A couple more questions. Is Marion going to be hit bad? We'll take a quick look at this map for you in Marion and to do a little bit of scrub going through the timeline here. There's Marion, 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to sound the all clear, but the worst of it will be about 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's one thing to keep in mind too. Even though we're really encouraging everybody to stay diligent during this situation, we want you to know that while we are going to be here all night, that once the threat passes you by, probably a 60 to 90 minute window from everybody, then it looks like you're going to have, then you're going to be able to breathe a little sigh of relief. I do suspect that as that line passes to the east, that the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center will more than likely begin to drop some of those warnings for you and watches. So that'll be something we're going to continue to track and watch. So it's almost as important, not as, but almost as important in some cases to get those, know when those warnings are canceled, when they're taken down. So you can breathe a sigh of relief and kind of go back and try and get a few hours of sleep before Thursday rolls around. So here is another model, which is pretty similar on the timing. You will notice that that line quickly races off toward the northeast. We are waiting, it's a little bit later than usual, we're waiting on updated model information, but this is the latest that we have. So timing still about 2 o'clock till about 4 o'clock before it exits. And then of course we're going to pick up our coverage on 10 TV News this morning at 4 o'clock, starting the stream, and at 4:25 on both. So keep that in mind as you're making your way through the night. All right, we've still got some work to do. So with 10 TV Plus audience, we very much appreciate your time. We're going to be, is this a serious situation? It is. Sometimes it's not as bad as you guys make it seem. And whoever wrote that didn't put a name. You're right. Sometimes it's not. And we hate to be naysayers or the sky's falling or cry chicken little all the time, but we are certainly erring on the side of caution. That's just our fallback. and we'll do everything we can to keep you and your family safe. So just because we're looking at an opportunity for severe weather everywhere tonight, doesn't mean everywhere will get severe weather. That's unlikely to happen, but everybody needs to be ready. So we're going to get to work on the forecast. We're going to be back in about 10 minutes with another update. Please keep those questions coming on social media, our 10 TV Facebook page, and that phone number is 614-460-3345, just a simple text message, and we'll be able to see what you're thinking about. So thank you very much. We'll be back in about 10 minutes with more information on 10 TV Plus, and of course we'll have a full forecast and updates and a layout to plan for the rest of the night on 10 TV News at 11. And a good evening, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. I am 10 TV meteorologist, Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz tonight, and we're looking at the opportunity for some severe weather, unfortunately. So we've been dropping in, doing severe weather updates on 10 TV Plus. We're going to be on 10 TV at 11 o'clock, and then all night long, we're going to be here monitoring the situation, providing you updates at the very least at the top of each hour, all the way through tomorrow morning. And the reason why, as you see behind me, one of the main reasons is that severe weather threat is now beginning a bit more solidified, in that the Storm Prediction Center, National Weather Service, has issued a tornado watch that covers the majority of the viewing area, including the metro, that goes until 4 a.m. We're going to watch these storms working in. They're just really getting going in Indiana, so still 1 to 3 hours away from much of central Ohio. But we're going to take this opportunity, as we have been really for the past 5 days, since we issued that weather impact alert day, and giving you a heads up and the lead time that you're ready, you're prepared to keep you and your family safe. Number one priority. So just keep that in mind. I don't mean to get up on my dad's soapbox, but it's important that we've all focused on the situation at hand, and that's really our main priority. And hopefully we're going to be able to help you get through the next 6 to 7 hours. So that's the tornado watch. Columbus, Delaware, Fairfield, Licking, Knox, a pick away, Union, Madison, and then down toward Fayette County. Points off toward the east. We're not under a watch yet, but we probably will be. So that's something just to keep in mind. So 10 weather impact alert. That goes through 5 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. Severe storms are likely. We're going to change that possible to likely. Stay connected. And like, what do you mean, Jerry, when you say stay connected? We're watching you right now. How do we stay connected? The answer is pretty simple. You need more than one way to stay connected. Number one, the phone is a great way. An app is a great way. 10 TV Plus on your connected television or smart TV is a great way. National Weather Service radio also a very good way. So have more than one way because any one of those could be a single point of failure, and we just don't want that to happen. So I've had plenty of lead time up to this event. We still have a couple of hours to go, so we want you to keep that in mind as you are preparing for tonight. So we're going to take a look at how things are looking right now. Like, what's the current situation? We are pretty dry around central Ohio after a pretty rough morning in some spots. I was surprised at just how fast those gusty thunderstorms with over an inch hail, $half size hail earlier today. So let's get up to speed now. You can see those thunderstorms racing eastward, and where you see those areas shaded in the orange, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. And just east of Muncie, home of Ball State, correct, Michael? Sure. That's Ball State and Muncie. They are under a tornado warning. There's a lot of noise going on there, but just know that that line of thunderstorms and those warnings are going to be something that we're watching very, very closely. So the other thing we want to keep in mind is that a lot of the questions we've got coming in on Facebook, 10 TV Facebook page, we're streaming live there. We're on YouTube. We're on those connected devices as well. And you can text your question, comments, concerns to 614-460-3345. We're going to be monitoring that channel as well for your questions and comments and concerns. So hopefully keeping the nasty grams down to a minimum tonight. We're just doing our job, people. And that job tonight is to keep you and your family safe. So looking at a couple of things, the big picture items to do keep in mind as we're getting ready for the severe weather event. As we said, multiple ways to get those warnings. More than one way is preferable. Have a plan. What are you going to do if a tornado warning is issued for where you are? And we'll talk about a couple of those things in a moment. Take action. If you have a plan and you have a warning, you have a plan, taking action should be pretty simple because you know what you're going to do. It might be a little bit nerve-wracking, a little bit anxiety, but you're going to know what to do. So here's the hour-by-hour forecast, latest information that we have. You can see that that storm begins to rocket into the west around 12 to 1 a.m. Bell Fountain, Kenton, up toward Marion, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And this is even some newer model information when we spoke just about 30 minutes ago. This line holds together 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, reaching areas around Morrow, Marion, Delaware, London, and Fayette County. Then we're getting toward, sorry, just jumped the gun there a little bit, apologies. Then we get to, give me an opportunity to back up. There's 2 o'clock in the morning, Mount Gilead, Delaware, west of Columbus. That's Plain City. That's Dublin. That's Hilliard. That's 2 a.m. 3 o'clock in the 2:30 around Columbus, through Delaware, but not yet in Newark, Lancaster, and Circleville. 3 o'clock in the morning, to 3:30, that line continues to race eastward. So again, this high resolution model data does not go on in infinity. So we're taking the information. You're seeing it as the first time as I'm seeing it right now. So you're looking at that in real time. But that's the threat that we're looking at. And it continues through about 5 o'clock in the morning as that line rockets to the south and east. Going to check a couple of questions. Thank you for keeping us safe. We're doing our level best, and it's not fun for us. It's our job, and we take it very seriously. Sometimes when it's non-severe weather and situation, we like to have a little fun and be lighthearted, but this is not necessarily one of those times. For the next 5 or 6 hours, we're going to put our serious meteorologist hat on because this is business coming up between now and sunrise tomorrow morning. A question from Hugh. Will there be a tornado in Hilliard? Hugh, appreciate the question. And if you're just joining us, we mentioned this, and at the risk of being repetitive, we'll say it again. Just because we're under a tornado watch, that watch means be ready, have a plan. It does not mean a warning. If you're under a tornado warning, that means that the threat is imminent or occurring, and you have minutes to react and take action. It's not possible for us right now at 10 o'clock, 10:06 on Wednesday night to tell you exact level of detail that you want to know. If I knew, I would tell you. We don't know. The computer models, the science has come a long way, but it's not quite there yet when we're able to give that exact location of that threat at the exact time. So at times we're going to paint with a broad brush, but we would rather be a little over-prepared and overstate what we're thinking. Not exaggerating, we're just letting you know, have everybody ready. And as this storm happens, as was the case just a couple of days ago on Sunday, once it gets rocking and rolling, then we'll be able to provide some of those details and let those people know that are really, truly in the path of danger what that threat is to where you live. So we don't have an answer to you yet, Hugh and Hilliard, for a tornado, but we will keep watching. When will the storm hit Licking County? So we're going to back up just a step here. Again, this is the extent of our latest model information. Licking County around 2 a.m. to about, certainly through 2:30 to about 3 o'clock in the morning. And the other thing you'll hear me say when we're marking off some of these times, Knox County, for example, about 2:30 to about 3:30. Franklin County, let's go Delaware County first. 1:30, 2:30, Franklin County, 2 o'clock to about 3 o'clock, 2:45. I'm chunking off those times in about 60 to 90 minutes. So we're getting a little more specific to some of those questions about when the severe weather threat will be for where you live, but again, not the level of detail exactly what's going to happen where you live at what time. So the other problem that's underlying all this, it's coming at night. Trying to sleep, trying to get ready for work or school. You got a big day tomorrow. The atmosphere is not going to cooperate. It's going to be pretty disruptive, not the entire night. So we're looking at that once this passes by and you get through your rough 60 or 90 minutes, we're going to let you know when the all clear is so you can go back to bed. You and your pets and your people can get to sleep. Unfortunately, that's going to come a little later south and east of that line. So you might get a couple of hours early tonight, but the later we get into tomorrow morning, then that becomes a bit more troubling closer to sunrise tomorrow. So keep that in mind as you're making your plans tonight. Look at a couple more questions. Are these storms worrying enough to sleep in our basement? I would characterize, the answer is yes. We are concerned. If you have a basement, why not? Have a sleepover. Make yourself comfortable. I know it's probably not comfortable. It's not ideal. Like I said, we understand as we all have family and friends that have to work and school tomorrow morning. Pop some popcorn, take a couple snacks, have some water, have your cell phone, have a charger, have everything ready, have the TV on, weather radio, and maybe just plan on hunkering down in the basement tonight just to be safe. What are the chances that we see a tornado at Mount Vernon? Alec, good question. I don't have an answer for you. If I had one, I would tell you. We don't know. So that's Mount Vernon. That's Knox County. Cameron, chance of a tornado 1 to 10. I'd say that's probably 4 or 5. I'm going to yell back to the peanut gallery. Michael Behrens has been working and still is. Michael, we talked earlier about, I'm going to step out just for a second, 2 or 3 earlier in the week. I think that's a 4 or 5 is pretty safe. You can just yell.
In terms of
tornado threat because of the tornado watch?
I would say we're probably somewhere around a 3 right about now.
Up a little bit from a 2.
Yeah, I think we're still looking at a wind primary threat. speaking from behind the camera.
I know, the wizard behind the curtain.
Yeah, still think we're looking at wind as our biggest risk, but I mean, definitely higher risk for tornadoes than what we saw Sunday.
Yeah, and that's something to consider too. Some relative sense. We had 4 tornadoes in Ohio on Sunday. Relative sense, its risk is a little bit higher than it was. So I'll let you go back behind the curtain. I appreciate that. Michael's been monitoring the forecast, as we all have, all day long, and he's actually working on getting some of the information ready so that we have the latest and best at 11 o'clock on 10 TV. So thank you for that, for the comments from the peanut gallery, Michael, very much. Tornado watch Cincinnati, Ohio. Yes. Union County and Ben, your question. Thank you. I appreciate that, Ben, for the compliment. Let's do our best to do a good job and do right by everybody in Central Ohio. Do you think the storms will down? How come I can't download that? Great question here. How come I can't download the 10 TV Plus on my Android phone? Great question. The 10 TV Plus app is specific for your connected and smart TVs. That's a Roku, Apple TV, Amazon, those things. If you download the 10 TV app, just the 10 TV regular app from the App Store, and it actually is pretty simple. Bear with me for looking down at my TV or my phone for a second. It's 10 WBNS with the CBS eyeball. That's the 10 TV app. You can also get the stream through the app. Okay, it's on a small screen, but you can get the stream. That's a great way to stay connected, is that 10 TV app. So, and we'll probably say that a couple of times as well. 10 TV Plus app, which you're watching right now, that is through a connected smart television. You'll have to go through the exercise, which shouldn't take very long. If you have a younger person in your household, they probably can do it quicker than you can. But the 10 TV app, everybody can download that, and that's a great resource to have all the time, but even especially now, because this is very easy to take into your basement, underneath your steps, into your safe space. So I want to get back to that in a moment. We're going to go for a few more minutes. Then, as I said, we've got a very complicated forecast coming up, and we want to be ready to give you the best information in a few minutes. The one thing that we continue to get questions about are safety in different locations. We're going to start with apartment building, and you can take this full screen just to make sure everybody sees it. Apartment safety is as follows. You want to go to the lowest floor you possibly can. Low floor bathrooms, laundry rooms, below floor, subsurface garages, the best. If you can't, your top floor, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, you can't get down to the bottom floor. You want to move inward, away from windows to an interior room or hallway. Put as many walls between you and the tornado as possible. Protect your head. Sounds silly. You got a bike helmet, you got a hockey helmet, put it on. All right, and take some of those things with you. We talked about no matter where you are, your important people, your pets, your papers, and your pharmaceuticals, because you do not know what you're coming back to. So those things might help you get back to speed quickly. That's an apartment safety, more than one level living. If you are in a home, where to go during a tornado, we'll break it down for you here. Some of these areas are better than others. Exterior rooms, garage, bedroom, living room, kitchen, bad. Interior rooms, hallway, bathroom, stairs, good. Better and best would be a basement. Again, that's subterranean, that's below ground. That's the best place you can possibly be. If you are in a mobile home, we know this is less than ideal. Be ready and have a plan. You want to get out of that mobile home. You're really putting yourself at risk, because that is not manufactured to withstand a tornado. The walls in the interior are not simply strong enough. You're really going to be at risk if you stay there. So try and find a shelter. But it's more of a reason that last line is the most important, to have a plan. Know where you can go, know what you can do with just a few minutes' time. And if you have people that might have some mobility challenges, plan ahead. This is your time. 10:15 on Wednesday is your time to have that plan for those maybe special needs going through the night tomorrow morning. Again, it might not be the best situation for everybody. You might be making some new fast friends, but it's an opportunity to do that and to do what you can to do to keep you and your family safe. And if you are stuck in a car outside during a tornado, even more complicated because it's coming at night, drive to a safe shelter. If you have to, leave the car, find a ditch or a ravine. You don't want to be in that projectile as it's possibly going airborne. So that's something to keep in mind. So coming up on 10:15, we're going to drop out from 10 TV Plus. I'm just going to look really quick. Answer of speed around southern areas. Southern Marion, Ohio, that is between about 12 to 12:30 to 1:30 to 2 o'clock in the morning. Sorry if you don't need to apologize if we answer these. Has a line been producing tornadoes in other states? Yes. It also has been producing 1 inch or larger hail and up to 80-mile-an-hour winds. Major concern. Wind is the #1 concern from this event tonight. Watching 10 TV on YouTube, Yes. The number for Columbus, possible tornado, on a scale of 1 to 10, probably a 3. It's not 0, it's not 10. It's in the middle, and we're not trying to be dismissive, but that's kind of the best we can do right now. What time will the storm hit Muskingum County and Zanesville? That's after 3 o'clock in the morning, we feel. Hail is a real possibility, so if you've got an opportunity to bring your car inside, park it in a garage, cover it up, maybe shelter it, something outside, then you've got a couple hours to take care of that. So there are more questions. A quick reminder, 10TV Plus, our 10TV Facebook page, your questions. On the phone number, you can text it from any mobile device, 614-460-3345. Michael Behrens is going to be back in about 15 minutes with another update, and we're going to go on 11 o'clock with the latest information. Please join us then, and we will continue to watch your questions and answer them all night long.
Hey there, Central Ohio. I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Behrens. We're keeping toward our west as we head into tonight. This is video of what could have been a tornado earlier today in central Illinois from the system that's heading our way. So we will have to watch that very carefully as we head through tonight. Of course, if you get any storm reports from your area, you can always send them to us on social media or by texting us at 614-460-3345. We're keeping a close eye on these weather impact alerts as we head through tonight because, again, this is going to be an overnight severe weather system, much like what we saw this past weekend, and that makes them more dangerous because the overnight systems, you're not going to see the storms coming ahead of time or if they have that potential threat for tornadoes, and you're also likely going to be heading to bed, if not in bed, by the time these storms come through. They do present the risk for all types of severe weather, high wind, hail, tornadoes, and flooding. I think the flooding threat tonight going to be a little bit lower as these storms are going to kind of race through the region. We're going to focus mostly on the hail and the wind and the possibility for tornadoes. As we head into the night, make sure you're staying connected. Have the 10 TV app on your phone so you get those weather alerts anytime any of them are issued, and have the 10 TV Plus app on your TV to watch these live updates. If you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, you can download that app right to your TV. It's available on Fire Sticks, Roku, and Apple TV. It's free and you can watch as much 10 TV programming as you desire. As far as what we're looking out for the alerts, haven't seen any changes here for the past several hours. We remain under a level 3 out of 5 risk factor for severe weather. That increases the further to the west you go. That drops off the further to the east that you go. Our main concerns remain about the same as well. Winds in the high category were elevated for the risk for tornadoes as we head through tonight. Hail, flooding a little bit lower end out there, and we're pretty not concerned, but pretty certain of the fact that we'll see some of those severe storms as we head into tonight. This was the newest information as of about an hour ago. We got these new tornado watches in place across central Ohio. These will be in place until 4 a.m. This covers most of the region with the exception of our far eastern counties out toward Coshocton, Guernsey, Muskingum County, all the way down to Athens, not under this tornado watch. The same as you get down to Pike and Ross counties, not under this tornado watch, but that could easily change as this line of strong storms works its way closer to central Ohio. We've seen most of the active tornadic activity on that southern end of the storm system, down pushing now into portions of Tennessee and down into portions of Kentucky, but this is getting ever closer to us here in central Ohio. We'll work our way back upstream here and get closer to Indiana. You can see southern Indiana now, some nasty storms working their way east to Evansville, and just look at the bowing structure in those storms. That is indicative of some really strong winds coming out of that storm, and you can kind of see both north and south there, those red outlines, those are tornado warnings. So on the ends of this bowing structure, we get some rotation in there, and that's what can lead to these tornado warnings, something like we've seen tonight. As we push up closer to Bloomington, Indianapolis, lots of severe thunderstorm warnings in place. No tornado warnings here for the moment. We'll go a little further north toward Muncie, Indiana. We saw a few tornado warnings close to you earlier. Right now, though, just severe thunderstorm warnings. Those are starting to kick their way into central Ohio. So far, still outside the 10 TV viewing area, but we're watching some of these storms border up against Logan County here. Again, these storms are still probably about roughly an hour away from entering our counties here in central Ohio, and we'll be watching them all night long as they push closer and closer to us. Hour by hour forecast shows those storms up toward Kenton and Bell Fountain here about an hour, maybe two from now. I would say probably closer to about an hour. As we head past midnight, the storm system pushing its way into central Ohio. This continues to push its way through Columbus between about midnight and 2 a.m. Starts to push off to the east as we head past midnight tonight and into the early part of Thursday. What you're seeing behind that main line, not expected to be severe. This is just going to be rain, maybe some thunder. It's really that leading edge that has the best chance for severe weather. And once that pushes out, while the rain continues into tomorrow, we don't really have that severe risk out there until we get to tomorrow evening. And that risk is going to be well to the south. We're talking far southern counties, probably not even really in the 10 TV viewing area. Once you get down to West Virginia, Kentucky, that's where I think the better threat for storms will be tomorrow, but we'll have to watch out for the heavy rain across the region. Another look at the storm impacts as we head through tonight. Flooding, hail possibilities, but they are the lower categories. Winds and tornadoes, the two ones that we're focused on as we head into this evening. Keep in mind, we have our full newscast coming up here in just about 24 minutes. That'll be coming up at 11 o'clock tonight. Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz will be breaking down the latest data for you. You can watch that on 10 TV Plus as well. And then we'll be back after our 11 o'clock show tonight with another update on 10 TV Plus, Facebook, and the 10 TV YouTube page at midnight tonight. Remember that 10 TV Plus app available Roku, Fire, and Apple TV. Download and watch for free.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight at 11. I'm Yolanda Harris. We are under a 10 TV weather impact alert tonight and tomorrow because of these storms. Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz is here now, and he's ready for a long night ahead. Jerry?
It's going to be a long night, Yolanda. The National Weather Service issuing this tornado watch for a good part of central, northern, and western Ohio that goes through 4 o'clock in the morning. And that's not to say that areas south and east of that are not going to see some disruptive weather as well. But the main focus as we go for the next couple of hours will be that rapidly advancing line of violent thunderstorms that have been producing some kinds of weather that you just saw a moment ago. Look at this line of thunderstorms all the way from Toledo and Detroit back down toward Indianapolis, just west of I-75. The closest warnings, you see some of those orange and yellow boundaries. Those are severe thunderstorm warnings with some tornado warnings off toward the west. That line advancing at a good clip and will be arriving after midnight tonight. So we look at the bigger picture. That's really what we're facing is a long fuse event for several hours between now and tomorrow morning at about 5 a.m. Main storm impacts will be strong winds, but flooding, hail, and tornadoes all on the table as we look at the severe weather threat overnight. We'll track it hour by hour and tell you when you can get the all clear, but also what to expect beyond that with flooding a concern for the next 4 days.
All right, thank you, Jerry. And make sure you have our 10 TV app downloaded on your phone so you don't miss any weather alerts. That's really going to be important. So it is free to download right now in your app store. With high winds and possible tornadoes, some of the biggest threats from tonight's storms, power outages are a big concern. 10 TV's Carly Dion is live in Columbus tonight looking at how ready power crews are. Carly?
Yolanda, right now the wind seems to be picking up a bit, but still no rain yet here in downtown Columbus. Tonight I spoke with AEP about how they've prepared as these storms move in.
Now is the time to prepare.
AEP preparing for the worst as severe weather makes its way to central Ohio.
We have meteorologists that are on staff that are always monitoring the weather patterns as they come in.
Operations manager Dylan Brown says they know one thing to be true.
So every storm is different.
And they do their best to prepare accordingly. Preparation starts with having enough crews working to handle any power outages.
And those crews will work throughout the duration of the night and get anything they can fixed and repaired. And then we'll have fresh crews come in the morning.
And you know the drill. If you come across any down power lines, don't go near them and call 911. Then contact AEP.
That way we can get someone out there to assess the damage and make it safe.
Brown says there are some steps you can take to make sure you and your family are prepared too.
You have some kind of a backup plan in place, especially if you have any health conditions.
That includes strapping down and securing any loose items in your yard. With strong winds expected, Brown says some items can get caught in electrical wires, causing outages. It's also important to have a plan while you ride out the storm inside your home in the event you lose power.
Plenty of drinking water, keeping your cell phone and laptop charged up, and a flashlight with plenty of batteries.
And rest assured, their crews will be ready.
And this time of year, they're very used to having back-to-back storms. And we make sure we bring in plenty of assistance and help as well to help with those outages.
And Brown adds at any given time, they can have more than 1,000 people working on repairing outages across the state. Live in downtown Columbus, Carly Dion, 10 TV News.
All right, Carly, thank you very much. Now, as these storms move in, here's something to think about. Do you and your family have a plan if there is a tornado warning? Well, you should. 10 TV's Tara Jabor walks us through what you need to know.
For the severe weather overnight, you should have a safety plan. We spoke to the director of Franklin County EMA about what you need to do to keep you and your family safe. Now, he says if you live in a home, of course, you should go to your basement. If you live in an apartment, then the first thing you should do is go to the lowest floor you can. Then you should try to go to a space where there's as many walls as possible between you and the outside. The last step is to cover your head. Now, if you live in a mobile home, then they suggest that you leave your mobile home. Try staying with a family member or a friend that lives in a home. Reporting in Columbus, Tara Jabor, 10 TV News.
Thank you, Tara. And of course, with all this rain coming, flooding is another big concern with the severe weather this week. Emergency service providers we talked to say there are 3 things you should focus on to keep water from getting into your home. First, make sure your gutters are clean. Next, make sure your sump pump works correctly. And third, get any valuables in your basement off the floor. One other tip, most homeowner insurance does not cover flooding, so make sure to double check your policy.
People don't have the coverage. They're like, oh, it won't happen to me. Make sure you do, because if you're in a flood area, you definitely want, because you're going to be stuck with the bill afterwards if not, and it can get very costly.
Now, providers tell us if you notice any flooding or water damage in your home, call an emergency service company within 24 hours or mold could start to form. For extended coverage of tonight's storm, head on over to 10 TV Plus. Our meteorologists will be on all night long tracking these storms. Just download the 10 TV Plus app on your TV to watch for free. Well, just hours after President Trump rolled out his tariffs plan, 4 Senate Republicans joined Democrats to rebuke his tariffs on Canada. It is a symbolic resolution because the House is unlikely to vote on it. But the president says these tariffs are for the good of the country. In an announcement at the Rose Garden, he called today Liberation Day.
President Trump unveiling his new tariff policy to the world Wednesday.
The day that we began to make America wealthy again.
On what the president named Liberation Day, he announced sweeping new tariffs in the White House Rose Garden.
This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence.
Aiming to redraw economic agreements with U.S. trading partners, Trump announced tariffs of at least 10% on practically all goods coming into the U.S., with even higher rates for 60 countries that have the highest trade deficits with the U.S.
Reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal. That means they do it to us and we do it to them.
Trump has already imposed 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports. A 25% tariff on foreign-made cars is set to go into effect midnight Thursday, and a 25% tariff on foreign auto parts no later than early May. Democratic lawmakers slammed the new tariffs even before they were officially announced.
At the end of the day, what we will see are costs go up for everyday consumers, energy costs, smartphones, cars. We will experience this, and largely on the backs of working class people who are just trying to get by.
Well, the European Union, Mexico, Canada, China, Japan, and South Korea have all pledged to retaliate. New at 11 tonight, a man is now being held in the Franklin County Jail, charged with a murder 25 years ago. Brian Swanson was arraigned today on charges of murder and aggravated murder. Swanson is accused of ambushing and killing Charles Ballard inside Ballard's apartment in February of 2000. Charges were not filed in this case until Swanson's indictment last week. Columbus firefighters are worried about a shortage of fire trucks citywide, calling this a crisis. But now the city says this isn't as big of an issue as the fire department is making it seem. 10 TV's Lacey Crisp explains.
Columbus Division of Fire says last year was dispatched to more than 200,000 runs. The union president says that causes a lot of wear and tear on an aging fleet and that there aren't enough trucks to go around. The city is pushing back. The fleet administrator says there are dozens of ambulances, ladders, and engines all in reserve, and he says he doesn't understand the union's position on calling this a crisis. He also says all of the fleet's average lifespan is under the national average. Reagan says the city will likely budget about $7.5 to $8 million for new vehicles this coming year. The union says it will cost nearly $19 million to update the fleet. In Columbus, Lacey Crisp, 10 TV News.
Well, 2 men were murdered in Lancaster and a woman shot, and it ended with a family member being arrested. Ahead at 11, the new development in that case today that led to more than a dozen charges being filed against the suspect. Plus, measles are in Ohio, and it's international travelers that are bringing them here. What you need to know if you or someone you know is planning to travel soon.
What you went through 12 years ago and how you're trying to protect other people and promote, not being distracted while you're driving. You're the hero. You and your wife, Terry, are the heroes. You know that, right?
And later, a big thank you to Jersey Mike's and to you, Central Ohio, for raising funds for the Maria Tiberi Foundation, one sub at a time. How much was raised and how that money will help in their mission to save lives. And before we go, here's another live look at the radar as the storms get closer. We'll be right back.